Now it's time for the first panel discussion on the topic, why will the open internet power the future of digital advertising? This session is moderated by Rahul Singh, Director of Business Development at the Trade Desk. Please welcome him on stage. Our esteemed panelists will explore how the open internet is set to revolutionize digital advertising. Please welcome Abhishek Mehta, Head of Marketing at Bagrry. Please welcome Gaurav Soni, Head of Media at Perfetti. Jasmeet, Bedi, Head of Digital Marketing, Canara HSBC Life Insurance. Please welcome Abhishek Chadha, EVP North and East Interactive Avenues. Over to you, Rahul.
Thank you so much. Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. I'd like to thank my fellow panelists today and some wonderful insights shared by Tej on the value of the open internet. Really excited to kind of do this panel with all of you. Some of you are already our partners, so thanks for being here. And I think I'd like to kick off the first question to Gaurav, which is our friend from Perfetti. And Gaurav, the first question to you is, with the rapidly evolving digital landscape, advertisers have a lot of choice, right? And I'd like to ask you, why do you think diversifying your media spends outside the walled gardens is important?
Thanks, Rahul. I'm audible? Advertising has been changing and evolving rapidly. And I think advertising has become a very important part of any successful marketing campaign. With the rise of digital media and technology, I think advertisers can target the consumers most precisely, which they weren't able to do it before. Any advertiser like us would want an efficient campaign with reach optimized, with right reach optimized at the right frequency. I hope I'm not being too wishful, but we all know that consumer journey is linear. So hence it becomes very important for us to have an audience first approach, which has unified reach and as an omni-channel approach. When it comes to walled gardens, they have a few advantages to themselves, which is they have a huge good consumer experience, which also help advertisers. they have huge database of themselves, which can help us target our consumers in a great and efficient way. But there are also some limitation when it comes to advertising only on walled gardens. For example, lack of transparency. Since they have to protect the consumer's data, we only get to see only the aggregated view of our campaigns. We can't advertise cross platforms. There is lack of data, lack of information. There is lack of different ad forms and ad placements. But most importantly, I think which is important for everything in this room is to maximize your reach. Though walled gardens have huge user base, but sometimes to plan a campaign, it becomes difficult to maximize your reach. Specifically for a category like us, which is a market leader in the category we're operating, it becomes our responsibility to grow the category. Hence, penetration becomes my business task, and maximizing reach becomes my media task. So it becomes difficult to advertise only on the walled gardens. Hence, I think advertisers and advertisers like us should advertise beyond walled gardens, which we call as open internet. While there is a lot of favorability among walled gardens, but as the data says, consumer spends almost 50% of their time on the open internet. Advertisers should definitely advertise on open internet if your objective is to increase brand awareness, generate more trials, generate leads. Then your task is to maximize reach. If you want transparency in your campaigns, if you want to optimize your campaigns in real time, know what's happening in your campaigns, achieve your KPIs in time, I think open internet makes sense. If you want to have different ad formats and ad placements which complements your advertising goals and increases the creativity for campaigns, which also gets you more engagement rates. So I think that makes sense, a healthy mix of walled gardens and open internet to give you the desired results for your campaigns.
Gaurav, you make a very interesting point. Number one is the consumer journey is not linear. And if you want effective reach, because consumers are spending time across, not just on the walled gardens, it is important to diversify your media spends. And of course, transparency is super important. I'd like to come to Jasmeet. So tech platforms really made media buying a lot sophisticated these days, right? I want to understand from you how an audience first approach, really kind of impacts your media strategies. And the second part of the question is, why do you think consolidation of media is important these days?
Sorry, the first part was about?
The first part is, tech platforms have made media buying a lot more sophisticated, right? So how are you adopting it? That's number one. And why is an audience first approach important?
Okay, that's a very pertinent question, but I'll address the second part first and then come to the first part of it. What I believe is that whichever brand or marketing KPI we are behind, we are in any case trying to achieve profitable growth. As brands, we might have different means and ways to reach that profitability, that profitable growth, but we all eventually want to be there. There could be different timelines for it, different KPIs. However, if we have to reach to a profitable growth, we can't be splurging our media dollars just like anywhere. So in order to consolidate my media spends, I have to ensure that I look at audience from one single frame. Now to do that, my media has to be consolidated. There has to be no other way to it. I can't be splurging my media in a way that there is something called walled gardens and there's some media happening on open internet. Unless I look at my audience from one frame, I have actually no idea, am I spending right or wrong? And even after that, am I reaching out to the right audience? Am I even coming out of the audience which don't make sense for me? Am I serving the right number of impressions or not? Am I leaving it where the customer doesn't want to talk to my brand? That is also a very important decision that marketers usually miss out on, but it's a pertinent decision that marketers have to take. Now, after we've done this journey and consolidated our media, this is where we actually start to hit our the true business goals that we're trying to achieve. Now, to do that, technology platforms, the first part of your question, which is about how these sophisticated platforms help us, and the technology behind it. For example, thanks to you guys for doing UID 2.0 and stuff like that. So if we have one unified view of customers and something which is on open internet and connecting everything, it just adds up more value to how I can achieve my marketing goals.
Interesting, Jasmeet. Thank you so much. So I think the point that you essentially made is tech platforms make it very, very efficient to kind of buy media. You have a single view of what is working, what is not working. And then of course an audience first approach is the benchmark of, buying media in the right way, because you want to go audience first, you don't want to go publisher first, right? Because audience spends time everywhere. I'd like to come to Abhishek, from our friend from Bagrry. I think content is really proliferated, right? A lot. There's a lot of options that consumers have. I like to understand, what are the challenges that brands face in terms of, consumers are spending time across, what are the basic challenges that brands face when trying to reach out to, audiences? How do you select which is the right channel to go after? How do you kind of define strategies and some of the challenges that you faced in your own, for your own brand?
Sure. So content is everywhere. Where it's not content, we're pushing the channels or even even our founders to make content. So right, it's literally overdose of content right now. The problem for a regular consumer is, you look at your day, how it starts. You get up at 6 or 7 in the morning, you listen to music, you listen to news, and then of course you drive your way to office. In between you get yourself updated to a lot of information. You reach office, start working. In between you do casually social media, check out some videos on YouTube, and of course, and then 6, 7 you try to leave office, go home, watch some TV, OTT, probably maybe play online gaming, number of things you do. If you look at from a marketer's angle, this is fragmentation of data. User is not constantly available on a particular channel. Just whether one at a time they're on Spotify, the next moment they are on Prime Video or they're browsing Instagram. So that's one of the challenges for us right now, is fragmentation of data, that user is not available or a potential customer is not available on a given time. The second is the ad fatigue right now. So every time I open, I'm sure it must be happening with a lot of people as well, open my YouTube, the two standard ads I see is Zomato and Blinkit, right? So even my mother have understood that, these two are anyways would come, and then whatever content she wants to consume would start anyways after this 6 second 2 bumpers, 12 second 15 seconds. सिर्फ टॉटर के ये बम्पर होते हैं, इनको आप स्किप कर सकते हो, स्किप नहीं कर सकते, ये चलेंगे. So the problem is, the content the ads overdose right now. The ads are everywhere. Whatever platform, as soon as you start making platforms, उसका monetization पहले start हो जाता है. People come up with ideas कि should we monetize it. Third is creative fatigue. It's very challenging for marketers right now, even for agencies, to keep thinking interested ideas on same concept again and again. At one point, consumers are also started understanding, okay, this is a bloody ad right now, we should skip it. That's one of the challenges right now. And then of course, you're jumping between a lot of platforms, so there is no consistent source of data right now. So my media agencies come to me, they show me that this is the reach we are targeting, this is the frequency we are targeting, but the problem is your consumer or your potential audience is not available on a particular platform at the moment, right? So they would give you fragmented reach, they would look at target, something you want to target from this, but there's no consolidation happening in terms of efficiency. And then working in FMCG, it's very important for us because we have diverse range of portfolio, and you can't rely on one particular channel right now.
Thank you, Abhishek, and I think that's a perfect segue, since you also highlight some of the challenges where your agencies come and give you a strategy. I'll come to my friend Abhishek, who represents IPG. And Abhishek, so programmatic is the way forward, obviously, for all media buying. I'd like to ask from you, how is technology and data, being leveraged in programmatic, and how do you address some of the challenges that, of course, Abhishek, but other clients also come back to you saying, solve for this for me, right?
All eyes on the agencies. So the data and technology, the essential vitamins for our entire ecosystem. So I'm going to not split data and technology separately, but answer relatively on how they've rapidly fueled programmatic adoption. And so for the record, we from our client base, we are at a 95% more adoption rate in our programmatic buying and activity. lot of work is happening, and it should happen, and we should take that into active consideration in our activations. The second piece has been is personalization, right? So technology on the back of availability of rich data cohorts, we've been able to do personalization effectively, right? And personalization is the key. I think what we spoke on the fact of how different platforms will require a different approach to content. It would also now, with the flow of rich data, personalization always will help in terms of getting efficacy out of the campaign. Media efficiency is one part, but in terms of the business growth deltas, efficacies will also go up. The third piece, which I want to highlight, is the point on how technology has helped buying become a little more smarter, right? On how your bids are being much more strongly eased out. So again, so one use case that comes in my head is ad verification, for that matter. Ad verification was always, we used to work on a reactive manner. We used to get something and then we used to try and understand. But technology has enabled post bids as well, and we can now, at a real-time basis, put a negation onto what audiences that we don't want to serve our ads. So yeah, so these three pieces that come to my mind on the spot, Rahul.
Thanks, Abhishek. That's really interesting. I'll come back to my friend Gaurav from Perfetti. So Gaurav, as consumer habits shift, right, there are certain channels which are seeing explosive growth. Key of them are, OTT music streaming, music streaming apps, gaming apps and stuff, right? So how do you think this massive growth in some of the specific channels is going to reshape how digital media is going to be bought in the future?
I think it's very important to understand why this change has happened. In the last 4 years, there is a huge amount of change which has happened in the consumer behavior, and there are different reasons to it. While we are out of the pandemic stage right now, but I think it's a huge milestone when we always define changing consumer behavior as pre-COVID and post-COVID. We do a lot of consumer emotions, and I go to the market myself to ask consumers that what exactly has happened in the last 4 years in terms of your purchasing pattern, in terms of entertainment pattern, and it has completely changed. So I think it is very important to define the time period which is pre-COVID and post-COVID. Post-COVID, a lot of changes have happened in the consumer mind space in their life. And I think we need to take a step back and realize, and I don't think anybody has ever realized, that we have become a multi-screen household from a single TV household. You're watching a TV which are watching a content on television, but something is happening over your cell phone in parallel. So I think it's very important to understand why that has happened. And probable reasons are explosion of content on OTTs. Smart TVs, would have not expected the kind of sales they have got in the few years because of pandemic, because there was plethora of content available. There is huge rise of music streaming apps, so people are everywhere. I think the key is to that digital media will grow because of rise of vernacular content, rise of short form content, new technology coming in, the kind of creative formats you have on digital, you can't do it elsewhere. Programmatic coming up in a big way. Again, as I said, irrespective of the platform we advertise on, our approach should be the audience first approach. And we should always be on the edge, always be on the curve and not too complacent. Learn new technologies, learn new trends, look out for new partners to make our campaigns more effective and more efficient.
Just to add to what you said, because he made an important point that the digital landscape, the ecosystem changed pre-COVID and post-COVID. One thing I interestingly realized that human content, your UGC, which is the reviews, the content that is produced for brands by people when they use or experience a brand, that changed from offline to online. Now that is actually very pivotal and is very important, and it's rather a good news for the online world, because what was offline and rather we as brands or marketers had no control over that side of content is all online. So it while it just complicates the whole funnel a little more, but it brings the control closer to the brands in terms of how they want to manage that front as well. So that is a very interesting change, I think, that happened in the post-COVID world.
Exactly, and we have made so many changes in our plans also. So for example, if one of our brands, we do a lot of regional targeting. We have specified which markets we can isolate on television, which markets we can use digital, and we are doing a lot of test and pilot campaigns that I'll do only TV in this market, I'll do only digital in that market, and then we'll see the results, which is working for us and which is not. So this is a big, I'll say, punt we are taking, because we are a deeply penetrated category and a brand. So we can't exist without TV as of now, but we are doing this changes because we're seeing that rise of content and rise of digital media, and in fact in the rural markets. So let's see how the test goes. By the end of July, we'll be able to see the results.
But yeah, there would be sufficient insights and a lot of savings on the video dollars by doing that.
Yeah, I won't want to comment on that yet.
So first of all, I think I'd like to congratulate all of you. Number one, from an advertising point of view, you do a very tough job. Audiences are all over. They're consuming content in different places, but your media dollars are limited, right? And you still want to get the best results for your brands. So it's a tough job. Congratulations on what you do day in and day out. I'd like to kind of come back to my friend Abhishek here. Like Tej mentioned earlier, there is open internet is being seen more like a third front to the walled gardens, and it is creating more of a question of choice. At the same time, it is adding to the competitive landscape. I'd like to kind of see your views and hear your views on how do you think you see that, and how do you think it adds to the entire digital media ecosystem?
Yeah, so really at the right time. So I'll take the standard departure, and I will answer this piece by saying that the walled gardens and the open, right? My friends who represent the brands, I think the biggest challenge and the disruption post-COVID that has happened is the complete obliteration of the linear journeys of consumers. So it's become absolutely pertinent for us to identify who our consumer is, where is he at that point of time, and how is it that we are able to best activate him with that specific piece of communication. Understandably so, because the first port when we start to create media plans, it starts from piling up your vanity metrics on reach frequencies, building it up on the walled garden platforms, and then you start to intuitively come back, okay fine, let's try and see where else we can pivot in. But I think once we started to gain more control of our data, that's where you can create the complete user path journeys, and you have to then move on to the open internet platforms. And the biggest advantage when we try and bump out of walled gardens is the fact that the creative liberties increase, right? The fact that you had in one journey of a campaign, you can activate a video asset, you can activate any kind of, for that matter, different creative execution, and you can actually sweat out the entire journey across multiple places. The second most important piece is that more and more omni-channel setups are being pushed across to the consumers, and if the handshake between walled gardens and the onus lies on a lot of brands as well as agencies to partner and create that front in terms of understanding the data better and the entire digital transformation initiative that has happened. So that's going to, in my opinion, give a great boost up for us to move the dollars into open internet executions.
Thanks, Abhishek. I think Googly's only come to the best of batsmen, so you flicked it very well. I'd like to come to Abhishek again, and to the point and extending to the point that Abhishek made about open internet. even targeting strategies are becoming, increasingly more sophisticated, right? So how do you think open internet with the data-driven approach that they're taking, enabling those targeting strategies for the audience you want to reach out to?
It is really happening. We have a diverse set of datas, channels to target right now. What we used to have is limited set of channels from 2, 3 tech, and then of course everything used to be controlled by them. We have a bigger set of targeting datas available, whether it's from music standpoint, gaming standpoint, live streaming standpoint. There are a number of options available, and you have the option now to target consumer not just on behavior. You can target them on demographics. You can target them on contextual basis, and then contextual advertising really works well. If you look at the right set of channels for your brand, you can't just target them all the time on behavior. It makes sense when you do contextual. Programmatic is there, of course, on their real-time behavior, and then of course on top of all this, you can actually customize your messaging communication according to channel. You're not dependent on 1 or 2 particular channels, and then of course using the standard, the templatized communication. You can play with your creative, with your communication, and then have it channel centric, which would actually drive more impact in terms of brand impact, awareness, and have a more positive impact on any consumer who's actually consuming that content. So this gives us the liberty rather than operating in limited set of coordinates. You can actually do it and then have no transparency of where is this ad is going to be playing, or what the consumer would be doing, or what the state of mind he would be. This actually gives us better opportunity in terms of targeting, which anyways would help a brand, because the sentiments these days literally change from second to second. You had good meeting with your boss, you're high, right? Bad meeting, you're low, right? You can't push ye le lo, wo le lo in between all that. So it has to be contextual. It has to make sense for the consumer who's going to end up buying your products.
Thanks, Abhishek. So I think what we can definitely conclude is walled gardens has its place, and so does open internet. And I think complementing both the strategies makes sense with an audience-first approach. And if you can add data-driven decisions to that, I think it's much more efficient in the way you buy media. I think my last question is to Jasmeet. I think we can all conclude that ad tech is a fairly exciting space to be in right now. It's constantly evolving. Consumer trends are changing. There are a lot of platforms which are coming in. We can leverage technology. There's a lot happening on AI as well. How do you, Jasmeet, then kind of stay ahead of the curve in terms of innovation, and what are the strategies you're adopting to make sure that you're ahead of the game?
Sure. So I guess we are a very different business as compared to rest of the brands and the brands you might be handling. We are a life insurance company. We are a very high involvement product category. People don't pay us money overnight. They talk to us at least 4 to 5 times on average. We give them at least 12 impressions before they give us the first click on average. They talk to us or interact with us for at least 21 days before giving us a first payment. But at the end of it all, they are connected with us for next 20, 30 years on average. So given we are so data heavy and not everybody in the country is our target audience at the end of the day, what is important for us as a business is that we look at full funnel marketing and data-driven marketing in one shape and form actually. So I technically, target things or look at my marketing plans in a way that it is full funnel integrated data-driven marketing. So if you think about it, it encompasses everything possible, right from where I'm serving my impressions, irrespective of open or closed internet, to the point where which of my call center agent is calling which of my lead, which of the audience I'm finally taking up the risk on my business of actually issuing them insurance or not. So it starts for me right from the first impression till the time the person is with us for the contract of the policy. So for me, it's full funnel integrated data-driven marketing. I know it sounds very, very long, but at the end of the day, it's all that makes sense.
I would say it sounds sophisticated, and you're definitely ahead of the game, Jasmeet. I promise I'll make it fun because there is networking, this is an event. So I'll ask you one thing, each one of you, in terms of which is outside your professional game, right, as marketers, as agency players. What is that one thing that you can share with the audience that you do outside of your work, which is interesting, which you'd like to share? I'll start off with Abhishek first.
I take random trips. I don't make plans, any plans at all. I take random
Thanks for sharing, Abhishek. Gaurav?
Yeah, I think besides taking trips, a lot of people have told me that I sing well. I don't take it as a compliment, but yes, I don't know. But yeah.
We'll probably make Gaurav sing towards the end of the event.
I generally charge at the events, but yeah.
Jasmeet for you, and then we'll come to Abhishek.
Well, I'm a mother to adorable 2-year-old daughter, so that's the favorite thing I do.
Amazing.
I like cocktails.
Wow, like we got awesome talent, right? First cocktails and then singing, right?
And then we'll go to the dark.
Makes sense, totally. Thank you so much, guys. This is like really amazing, interesting thoughts that you've shared. We are right on time, so I'll pass it on back to our agency reporter team.
I now request Rahul Puri to please come on stage and hand over the token of appreciation to our speakers and moderator. Thank you, everyone.